Has anyone ever dealt with a child's imaginary friend that wasn't all sunshine and rainbows? Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little different, a bit more personal, and honestly kind of weird. I need to talk about something that's been happening with my daughter, and I'm hoping you guys can offer some perspective, or at least tell me I'm not crazy. It's about her imaginary friend. Now I know what you're thinking. Imaginary friends are totally normal, right? A classic childhood rite of passage. When my daughter first started talking about her new buddy a few months ago, that's exactly what I thought. It was cute. She'd set an extra place for him at the dinner table, chat away to him in her room. You know, the drill. I was all for it. I figured it was a great sign of a healthy, active imagination. But lately, the details she shares about this friend have started to feel less like innocent make-believe and more like something unsettling. The cute phase is definitely over, and now I'm just left feeling deeply creeped out. It started subtly. His name, for instance. She doesn't call him something cute like Mr. Snuggles or Teddy. She calls him the man in the corner. Just hearing her say it sends a little shiver down my spine. And her descriptions of him are so vivid, almost too vivid. She says he's very tall, so tall he has to bend his neck to fit in her room. He wears an old, dark suit even when it's hot outside. And she says his face is always in shadow, so she can't quite see his eyes, but she says she knows he's always smiling. That detail, the constant smiling, is what first started to get under my skin. Then his personality started coming through, and it wasn't the fun, supportive friend I'd imagined. At first, she said he liked to play pranks. He'd hide her favorite stuffed animal, and she'd spend an hour looking for it, only to find it in a really obvious place, like on top of her pillow. She'd say, "The man in the corner is so silly." But the pranks got less silly and more mean-spirited. Her drawings would go missing, only to turn up later torn in half. Once, a tower of blocks she'd spent all morning building just collapsed. She came to me crying and said, "The man in the corner pushed it over because he was bored." That was a red flag. A big one. It's one thing for an imaginary friend to be a playmate, but another for them to be a bully. I tried to talk to her about it gently. I said, "Honey, friends shouldn't be mean. Maybe you should tell him that's not nice." And she just looked at me with these big, serious eyes and said, "He doesn't care." He says it's funny when I cry. I didn't know what to say to that. How do you reason with a child about the behavior of someone who doesn't exist? Or at least I hope he doesn't. But the real turning point, the moment this went from weird kid stuff to I can't sleep at night, was when she told me about his nighttime habits. We were tucking her into bed one evening, and she said, matter-of-factly, "The man in the corner likes to watch me sleep." I tried to laugh it off. "Oh, does he?" "Well, tell him it's time for him to go to sleep too." She shook her head. "No, he doesn't sleep. He hides under my bed and watches my dreams." I'm getting goosebumps just telling you this. I immediately got on my hands and knees, flashlight in hand, and showed her that there was nothing under her bed but some dust bunnies and a lost sock. I told her, "See? Nothing here. It's just your imagination playing tricks on you." She waited until I stood up, then pointed to the dark corner by her closet and whispered, "He's not under the bed now." "He's over there, I swear." The temperature in the room dropped. I ended up staying in her room until she fell asleep, and I've put a nightlight right in that corner. It doesn't seem to have made a difference, according to her. He just stands in the light now. Then came the birthday party. A few weeks ago, my daughter announced it was the man in the corner's birthday. She spent the entire afternoon setting up a party in her room. All her dolls and stuffed animals were arranged in a circle on the floor. She used her Play-Doh to make a little cake. It was bizarre, but I tried to lean into it. I asked her, "Did your friend have a good birthday?" She nodded excitedly. "Yes, and he gave me a present." My heart sank. "A present? Oh, really? What did he give you?" She ran to her dollhouse and pulled out a small handmade doll. It was made of twigs and bits of yarn, crudely tied together. But what made my blood run cold was that the yarn for the hair was the exact same color as my daughter's, and it was wearing a tiny scrap of fabric cut from the pajamas she had been wearing the night before. I asked her where she got it, and she just said, "He made it for me. He says now he has one of me to keep in his pocket." I took that doll. I told her it was messy and that we should throw it away. The tantrum that followed was epic. She screamed that I had hurt her friend's feelings and that he was now very, very angry with me. For the next few days, she was distant. She'd whisper to an empty space in the room and then look over at me with an expression that I can only describe as resentful. It felt like I wasn't just dealing with my daughter, I was dealing with her and this entity she'd created. The final straw, the reason I'm making this video, happened yesterday. We were sitting on the couch, watching a cartoon. It was a normal, quiet afternoon. Suddenly, she muted the TV, turned to me, and with no emotion at all, just a flat voice, she said, "He wants to say hi." I tried to play it cool. I said, "Oh, okay. Tell him I say hi back." She didn't smile. She just stared at the empty armchair across from us and said, "No, he wants to say hi himself." And then she tilted her head, and in a voice that was not her own, a deep, raspy whisper, she said, "I'm right here." I froze. It was like something out of a horror movie. Her voice was completely different. It was guttural and low. After she said it, she just blinked and turned back to the TV as if nothing had happened. I asked her what she just said, and she looked at me, confused, and said, "What?" I didn't say anything. She genuinely didn't seem to remember it. I feel like I'm losing my mind. So that's where I am. I'm torn between thinking this is a sign of an incredible, if slightly dark, imagination, and being genuinely terrified that something else is going on. I've read all the parenting books. They say to engage with the imaginary friend, but set boundaries. How do you set boundaries with someone who supposedly watches your child sleep and speaks through her? I'm trying to be a rational parent, but I'm also scared. Part of me wants to pack our bags and stay at a hotel. Another part of me thinks I'm just being a dramatic, overprotective mom who's watched too many scary movies. I really wanted to share this with you all because I feel so alone in this. Has anyone ever dealt with a child's imaginary friend that wasn't all sunshine and rainbows? Have you ever had an experience that just felt wrong? Please, leave your stories and any advice you have in the comments below. I'll read every single one. Is this a phase, or is this something more? Thanks for listening to me vent. It really means a lot. If you're interested in more of my strange parenting adventures, feel free to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.